here with Rod Willmott, who is Fast Track Director at the insurance company LV. Hello, Rod.
Hi, good morning.
Could you tell us a little bit about what you mean by Fast Track Director? What does that actually mean?
So it started out with the term Fast Track Director rather than Innovation Director, because innovation, frankly, seems a bit geeky to some people. And the idea of Fast Track was to accelerate some of the delivery that we were struggling with. So we started out with accelerating the deliveries that had been on our strategic agenda for a while but got stuck. Those things that never make the cut when it comes to your strategic development investment, but they hang around and the board will want them to happen, but they never do, and there's some of them are there for a couple of years. I was given the challenge to say, look, if we just forget the way we always do it or the way we've always done it, and we forget the way we think about it and try something completely different, could we actually get some of those done with less money, in less time and less risk, in effect, to overcome the inertia that was stopping them from happening in the first place, which was that they were projected as being really expensive, that we couldn't do anything that proved the point really quickly. So it's all those things that we were now told, test and learn, fail fast, but we didn't know what they were at the time, but we just wanted to accelerate some of that delivery.
So in the world of insurance, it's a pretty risk-averse, naturally, industry, and industry is based on being risk-averse. Yeah. And doing innovation has always got a little bit of risk associated with it. How does that actually work, and how can you operate successfully for innovation within an organization that's really sort of set up to get rid of risk?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting point, because whilst most insurance companies, in fact all, are risk averse at some level, insurance is all about risk, in effect. So you could also take the opposite view that says what we do is we insure risk, we deal with risk, we try and understand risk. It's corporate environments that are risk averse, I think, rather than it's the corporate mentality that becomes very risk averse in terms of change, and people don't like change. So I'm not sure that the insurance industry is so much averse to risk, but it becomes very settled, and it's been the same for a long time, and it's averse to change. So whilst there is always this barrier to overcome, which we heard talked about here this morning a number of times, the challenges exist in the insurance industry as they do in any other corporate or commercial marketing space. You've got to change to survive, and people at the top recognize that, and people at the bottom actually drive it. So what you need is just that bit of stimulus in the middle, and actually encourage the safety of innovation. Right? So the whole concept of doing things in small chunks, not betting the farm on stuff, and proving to people that actually doing something different is not massively risky, is probably the trick to getting people moving in what is a conservative industry which deals with risk all the time anyway.
Now, last night we were playing with a Microsoft HoloLens. Now, when you're coming up with ideas, looking at innovation within the company, do you come up with the idea first and then look for the technology to do it, or do you look at the technology and work out how can we do something interesting with this?
I think you've actually got to do both, and you've got to do them both at the same time. We kind of constantly scan technology from kind of small interesting firms to physical technology like the HoloLens, or where's VR going to fit in the world of insurance. But we're also looking at the business problems, and sometimes one comes before the other, so you'll find a business problem that you just can't fix, or that the only way to fix it is in the traditional mould, and so you can't really help very much. Sometimes you'll find a technology and you go, that's brilliant, I'm sure there'll be something, but I haven't got anything today that fits that mould. So you do the two in combination all the time, and then you get to a day where you've got a business problem, and you suddenly go, wow, that bit of technology that I looked at last year, that's really the answer, and then you can go back to it. Or vice versa, you might see some technology, and then we sometimes take that to the business and go, look, this is really interesting, I'm not sure how we're going to use it, but we're trying to stimulate their thinking into concepts and ideas that might leverage or do something better for the customer based on using that new approach or new technology or new way of thinking.
So there's a couple of things that I've seen with innovation within companies. One is where it's this isolated unit that is almost separated from the rest of the company, and the other is when you use people as catalysts to engage the whole company in sort of thinking innovatively. What, from your experience, is the best approach?
The latter would be where I would really try to aim. Like, the goal of Fast Track has always been to do things quickly, but the things that we do are not necessarily the outcome. The goal is to show people that you can do it differently, that doing it differently can be safe, that it can accelerate delivery and it can reduce costs. And to have people look at that and go, I want more of that, I could do that. So in some cases, and generally, you have to start with a group that's doing something, because otherwise you don't get anything done. But the small group that's doing it shouldn't really be isolated and hived off in the corner or in a digital garage somewhere miles away from your operation. You've got to do it in the place that you're doing it. So this year we started running innovation labs, which is to look at nascent business ideas that we can really flesh out and work out the opportunities for. But we do that, our lab is smack in the middle of our corporate restaurant, and it's very open, glass doors. We want everybody to see what's going on, be encouraged to come in and be involved, and to just even to look in and go, what's going on there? I really want to get a part of that. So you've got to embed it.
So is innovation having then a much wider effect on the organisation and even beyond the organisation? Is that what's happening?
I think both. We're probably recognised at LV for being quite an innovative company. We have a number of advantages in being relatively small. We're also a friendly society, so we don't have some of the market structures that prevent us from taking on new ideas, which is a great thing. But I look at not just the changes that we've done. One of the things we talk about changing is just vocabulary. So to change the vocabulary in the business such that things like test and learn and agile and fail fast and experimentation become the natural parlance in the boardroom and in the management team meetings is part of the goal of doing it. That we've achieved some stuff along the road, we failed on some things along the road, but the one thing that I think has been successful is just those subtle changes across the organisation where people get that doing it this way can be better, is important, is a great way to test out ideas. And generally we've seen other areas start to create their own teams which are innovation focused, which is a big win.
So could you just finally sort of tell us maybe some of the areas that you're looking at the moment to improve the world of insurance? So
I think it's really important that we recognise that innovation is not just about the great new idea, the new startup, the radical new insurance product. We do everything from core innovation. So some of our stuff is all about working out ways to help people do what they do today better, more efficiently, cheaper, quicker, job satisfaction better. We work on, and they're generally process improvement type things. They can be anything from, digital means to communicate with customers instead of email or paper, or it could be just internal process efficiencies within the department, like workflow type jobs, if you like. Not very exciting, but they can be big enablers to business process. We look at adjacent innovation, where we launch new products. So we launched a couple of years ago a trial product called Sick Pay, which was a radical change in the market to allow people to buy income protection insurance without going through all that horribly complex view of medical underwriting. It was buy it online, buy it now, and that was quite radical. We drove new products into the market at low cost tests, which was something that we'd wanted to try for a while, hadn't been able to do. And then we're looking at market changing challenges. So we're currently looking at how can we give people that use the broker market, so most people, or a lot of the insurance market now is direct and the comparison sites, etc. But in the commercial end of the world with business insurance, it's very much broker led and it's very traditional. So we're looking at how can we make that better, both for the broker and for the customer, and more cost efficient and really challenging the market. So my answer is, we have experiments and work going on at the whole spectrum of the changing the way the insurance industry works through to changing the way that an individual CSR gets through their day.
Fantastic. Rod, thank you very much indeed.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.